Hi, this is Len Furman, the sports time traveler, with an incredible baseball game from 50 years ago this week. This episode is titled The Spitter Pitches for a Consecutive Wins Record. Subtitle: On July 8, 1974, notorious spitball pitcher Gaylord Perry had the opportunity to tie the American League record of 16 straight wins in a single season. Oakland, California, July 9th, 1974. I'm on a quick virtual trip to Oakland, California in July 1974, where last night I experienced a battle between the AL East first place Cleveland Indians and the AL West first place and defending World Series champion Oakland A's. This was not just a battle of first place teams, it was also a battle of two great pitchers, Gaylord Perry of the Indians and Vida Blue of the A's. And one of those pitchers, Gaylord Perry, was pitching with a chance to tie an ancient baseball record, the American League single season consecutive wins mark of 16. 47,582 fans jammed Oakland Coliseum on Monday night, the largest crowd of the year so far here in the East Bay, for the chance to witness history. The American League single season consecutive wins record. Here's a quick background on the record. In the 1912 season, both Walter the Big Train Johnson of the Senators and Smokey Joe Wood of the Red Sox won 16 consecutive games to set the American League record. 22 years later, in 1934, Elwin Preacher Rowe tied the record while playing for the Tigers. For the next 40 years, no other pitcher in the American League has reached the mark of 16 consecutive wins in a single season. The Spitter. And here's a little background on Gaylord Perry. Gaylord Perry doesn't have a fancy nickname, but to most baseball fans, he is known infamously as the Spitter. Perry gained notoriety for being suspected of doctoring baseballs with a variety of substances throughout his Major League Baseball career, which began with the Giants in 1962. The spitball was banned from baseball in 1920. Spitballs give the pitcher a tremendous advantage because an adept spitballer can hurl their pitch at fastball speed, yet make the ball move in unexpected ways. Although it had been widely suspected that Perry threw the spitter, he has never been caught. But when Perry was traded from the Giants to the Indians in 1971 and won the AL Cy Young Award in 1972, it increased suspicion over his allegedly illegal methods. This past April, he released a book in which he fessed up. The book is titled Me and the Spitter. Perry admitted in the book that he used to throw spitballs, but that he stopped the practice in 1968 when Major League Baseball banned the practice of pitchers touching their mouth. Many baseball players and managers do not quite believe everything in Perry's tell-all tale. The Streak. This season, Gaylord Perry of the Indians lost his first game on opening day on April 6th. It was the last time he has lost in over 3 months. Going into last night's game at Oakland, Perry's record stood at 15-1. Gaylord Perry had won 15 straight games, including 2 over the world champion A's. Now, he needed to beat the A's again to tie the American League record. The first place Indians. Gaylord Perry won his 15th a few days ago on July 3rd. That win pulled the Indians, a team that had finished in the cellar at 71-91 last year in 1973, to just a half game out of first place in the AL East. On Sunday, 2 days ago, Perry's older brother, Jim, who was also on the Indians, beat the California Angels to improve his record to 8-7. That win catapulted the Indians to a 1.5 game lead in the AL East. It's the first time in 15 years that the Indians have held at least a 1 game lead after July 4th. The Perry brothers have Cleveland rocking. Together, they have a combined record of 23-8. The rest of the Indians' pitching staff is just 22-27. That's the background coming into last night's sold-out game at the Oakland Coliseum. Note from the Sports Time Traveler. I interrupt this article to demonstrate how big baseball was in the American psyche in 1974 and why the Oakland Coliseum was sold out on a Monday night for a midseason contest 50 years ago. 3 months earlier, on April 4th, 1974, Hank Aaron hit his 714th home run to tie Babe Ruth on the career home run list. That game took place during a Thursday afternoon in Cincinnati. NBC did something they had rarely ever done before for any news event, let alone a sporting event. They broke into the soap opera show Another World at 3:05 p.m. for 4 minutes to air the replay of Aaron hitting number 714 over the left field wall in Riverfront Stadium. Rex Lardner, an NBC administrator, was quoted in the Palm Beach Post saying there must have been a sponsorship problem. But clearly NBC upper management did not care about their sponsors on that afternoon. They knew that most of America wanted to see the historic moment as soon as it happened. And on July 8th, 1974, most baseball fans in the Bay Area wanted to see if Gaylord Perry could tie the American League single-season consecutive wins record. Indians at A's, July 8th, 1974. The game started with Vida Blue taking the mound for the A's. Blue set down the Indians in order in the top of the first. In the bottom of the first, Gaylord Perry started his evening's work by striking out the leadoff batter, shortstop Bert Campaneris. The second batter was the DH, Claudel Washington. A 19-year-old rookie, Washington was in the starting lineup for the first time in the majors. His first appearance in the big leagues had been just 3 nights ago when he pinch hit for Ted Kubiak and flew out to left field. Now in his second major league plate appearance, Washington faced Gaylord Perry and he struck out. Perry then got Sal Bando to line out to third base and a pitcher's duel seemed to be on. Indians nothing, A's nothing, end of first inning. Vida Blue, looking sharp, got the Indians out quickly in the second, allowing just 1 walk. In the bottom of the second, Perry got Reggie Jackson to ground out. Then he hit Joe Rudy. With 1 on and 1 out, Gene Tennis, the hero of the 1972 World Series for the A's, came to the plate. Wells Twombly, sports writer for the San Francisco Examiner, described what happened next. Perry got a pitch so high up that Gene Tennis had no difficulty mashing it against the cold concrete facing of the left field pavilion. It was a 2-run homer, and it gave the A's an early 2-0 lead on Gaylord Perry. After Angel Manuel grounded out, the next batter was second baseman Ted Kubiak. As Kubiak stands in the batter's box, let's go back to Twombly again for his account of what took place next. Perry leaned forward and groped for the resin bag. For several seconds, he squeezed it with all the intensity the man has always brought to his own personal art form. Then he dropped it and threw a slider towards Ted Kubiak of the Oakland Athletics. As it passed the batter, there was a powdery puff. The home plate umpire Nick Birmingham immediately suspected foul play. Twombly described the umpire's reaction. Whistles blew, lights flashed, sirens screamed. Umpire Nick Birmingham decided that he had witnessed a crime being committed. Out to the mound he raced, his nervous system pounding. He had caught the notorious criminal Gaylord Perry in another nefarious deed. Indians catcher Dave Duncan tried to serve as Perry's defense attorney. He told the umpire, he gave up throwing the spitter. He was getting tired of hearing he could only win by cheating. But Birmingham was not suspecting the ball had been a spitter. Twombly wrote that Perry was being frisked for an entirely different reason, one that was absolutely ludicrous. They thought he was using some kind of dry pitch. Nothing was found, and the game continued. But Birmingham could have thrown Perry out of the game and ended the streak right there. When play resumed, Kubiak grounded out, and Perry was out of the inning, but still in the game. Note from the Sports Time Traveler. I interrupt this article once more to share with you my correspondence with my friend Ted Kubiak yesterday, back here in 2024. I asked Ted if he recalled the incident with the home plate umpire rushing out to the mound to inspect Gaylord Perry. Ted focused on every moment of every game. Every movement by every player on the field went into Ted's mental calculations as a player, as he has described so well in his book, Old School, which is available on Amazon and is a great read for any baseball fan. It's why Ted was able to seemingly get a jump on every ball hit to him in the infield, and it's why he was able to score from second base on a short liner to left center to win Game 3 of the 1973 World Series against my Mets. Ted did not have a specific memory of this incident 50 years ago, but he did share an interesting insight about Gaylord Perry. Quote, I hit 2 of my 13 home runs off Perry, and I do remember swinging at one of his pitches one night and being amazed at how the ball dipped below my bat. I thought I was right on the pitch, but he made the ball do things, so the suspicion of the umpire that night was valid. Now back to 1974. A's 2, Indians nothing, end of second inning. The pitchers' duel continued on. Blue gave up his first hit in the top of the 5th when George Hendricks singled. That was followed immediately by another single by Buddy Bell. The Indians loaded the bases with 2 outs when Frank Duffy walked. And then the Indians got their first run of the game when Blue walked John Lowenstein. Meanwhile, Perry got through the 3rd to 5th innings, giving up just 2 singles. A's 2, Indians 1, end of 5th inning. Both teams went down in order in the 6th. In the top of the 7th, Blue gave up a single to Oscar Gamble. Dave Duncan then hit a home run to put Perry and the Indians back in front. In the bottom of the 7th, Perry was fantastic. He struck out the side. In the top of the 8th, Blue came back strong with a 1-2-3 inning. In the bottom of the inning, Perry got the first 2 batters out to give him 10 straight outs. Then he yielded a triple to Claudel Washington, the first hit of his career. But Claudel was stranded at third when Sal Bando lined out. Indians 3, A's 2, end of 8th inning. Vida Blue set the Indians down in order again in the top of the 9th. Blue had now retired 8 straight Indians since the Duncan homer. The A's came up in the bottom of the 9th, needing a run to prevent Gaylord Perry from gaining his record-tying 16th consecutive win. Reggie Jackson, the most dangerous hitter in the American League and 1973 regular season and World Series MVP, came to the plate. Jackson was having another MVP-type season with 16 home runs, 51 runs batted in, and a .328 batting average, third in the American League. Perry struck out Reggie. Perry was 2 outs away from tying the record. Next up was Joe Rudi. Rudy got payback for being hit by Perry in the second inning. He walloped a triple to right field. Herb Washington was then brought in to run for Rudy. Herb Washington is a world-class sprinter who had been signed by the A's owner Charlie O. Finley this season for this specific reason: to run. 2 years ago in 1972, Herb Washington tied the world record in the 50-yard dash and set a new world record in the 60-yard dash. Note from the Sports Time Traveler. I interrupt this article a third time, a new record, to inform you that Herb Washington still holds the record for the 60-yard dash. The race is seldom run any longer as track meets have adopted the metric system, but even Carl Lewis, winner of 4 gold medals in the 1984 Olympics, ran the 60-yard dash in his prime and could not beat Herb Washington's time. Now back again to 1974. The designated runner. Herb Washington is unique in the annals of baseball. He only runs. In 49 games this season, Herb Washington has not had a single plate appearance. He only comes into games as a pinch runner. With 1 out and Herb Washington on third base, Gene Tennis came to the plate. Tennis lifted a fly to left field. The ball was caught, but there was no catching the speedy Herb Washington from scoring to tie the game. Herb Washington had done his job. The designated runner had tied the game in the bottom of the 9th. After the run scored, Perry struck out Angel Manguel, and the game proceeded to extra innings. Indians 3, A's 3, end of 9. In the top of the 10th, Vida Blue continued on the mound for the A's. He got the Indians out in order again. Vida Blue had now retired 11 straight Indians. In the bottom of the 10th, Gaylord Perry also continued to hurl for the Indians. The A's' Pat Burke led off as a pinch hitter for Ted Kubiak and drew a walk on a 3-2 pitch. Burke told Ron Bergman in the Oakland Tribune after the game, "I've gotten a lot of hits off Perry, and he didn't want to throw me anything good." As soon as Burke reached first base, Blue Moon Odom, a pitcher, was brought in to pinch run. Tim Hosley came up next, pinch hitting for catcher Larry Haney. He bunted Odom over to second base. With 1 out and Odom on second, Bert Campaneris grounded out, and Odom moved to third base. The rookie Claudel Washington came to the plate with 2 outs and Odom on third. Indians pitching coach Ken Aspromonte made a visit to the mound. The words of advice didn't work. Claudel Washington hit the first pitch from Perry to left field, and Blue Moon Odom came home with the winning run. The A's had won it 4-3. Gaylord Perry's consecutive win streak was stopped. The 19-year-old rookie Claudel Washington, who got the winning hit in his first start, was as excited as he could be. He told Bergman in the Oakland Tribune, "I know I won't be getting any sleep tonight. I'm going to be on the phone with all my friends." Gene Tennis, who had driven in the A's' first 3 runs, told Bergman, "It was like a World Series game. The crowd, the noise, and 2 great pitchers." A's manager Alvin Dark was quick to credit his starting pitcher Vida Blue for the win. Blue had given up just 4 hits in 10 innings. Dark told a UPI reporter in an article that appeared around the country, including the Napa Valley Register, "Sure, the kid got the game-winning hit, and I'm happy for him and the team that he did. But the first man I wanted to congratulate was Vida." Here we were with a packed stadium and everyone out to see if Gaylord could get his record, but Vida was the big man of the night, in my mind. He just pitched a masterful game, the kind he had to beat Perry. In the same article, an exhausted and apologetic Vida Blue had this to say, "I'm just glad it's over, and I'm glad we won. In my mind, we should have won the game in 9, 2-1. I made the mistake on the Duncan homer, and we had to keep on going." Gaylord Perry had no comment about the game in the Cleveland Plain Dealer today. And so, all the hoopla around Gaylord Perry is over, for at least a little bit. Thanks for listening, and please share the Sports Time Traveler.